Welcome, Darryl.
Hello.
Happy Sunday. Good to see you.
Can you hear me? Good to
I can
see
hear
you.
you. I think we got the mic stuff figured out today. I feel like we spent an adequate amount of time, like 7 to 8 minutes of mic checks before we started today. I think was plenty for us to ensure.
That's like throwback. That's like
Right?
with the good old days when we used to test things out first.
Yeah,
Got
exactly.
lazy, TK.
Well, we both I got a new desk, you got a new house. So both of our setups had been changed, and that was the problem. So we're back on track. Great great content, great interaction from the guests and the listeners last week. We had a lot of great comments, a lot of great stuff. And one of the comments was, hey, why don't you guys get Adnan from Acad Modular? I bet you they thought we wouldn't take them serious.
Never.
I bet you they thought like, oh, these guys are too they got plans, they're organized, they've probably got schedules booked for the next 8 weeks.
Well, and Adnan is far out of reach for a show like this.
For a show like this, why would he want to hang around with us on a Sunday morning? But guess what?
What?
We got him.
He's here. He's waiting.
Is he in the waiting room?
He's waiting patiently.
Let's bring him in
to get on this show.
Don't delay. Let's get him on here.
Get him on before he runs away. Let's go. Yeah, press the admit button, and then I got to put faith in something else. Boom. Look at that.
Look at that background.
That's a nice ad for a modular home. You know,
we're going to talk all about that. We're going to talk all what province is that built in?
Yeah, where's that? That looks like a rendering to me.
Yeah, where's some sort of computer? That's in Decentraland.
Modular homes in the metaverse. It's kind of like
how modern can you get? Yeah, how modern can you get? I heard steel prices in the metaverse are up too. Adnan, welcome.
Hello, gentlemen.
Welcome.
Here we go. Hello.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us, Adnan. We were just talking about last week. Somebody made a recommendation for you to be on the show. We made it happen. Yeah.
Oh, thank you very much.
It was an anonymous internet commenter, but they said, you've got the stuff we want to hear, so we listen to our listeners.
Well, that's great. Yeah, I really appreciate that. I'm always up for talking about modular and everything related to it. So
awesome.
Yeah. No problem.
Well, we're right in the show already. We're here. We start recording. We like really candid conversations. So we're happy to have you. I'll give you a little brief introduction. So Adnan's he owns Acad Modular and mechanical engineering background, lots of planning experience, and a specialist in modular homes and construction of that type. And we want to hear all about it because we had a great guest from the planning department, but he's limited in his purview on the whole entire process. You've kind of got the final finishing touches on what needs to be done after the planning framework has been put in place. How does that actually happen? And that's what we're hoping to talk to you about today.
I will do my best. I'll do what I can. That's the best I can.
I'd love to know why you think modular, like I was trying to do some research on modular just for the show to see what kind of articles I could pull up. And it just seems that modular has such a bad reputation, or it's like linked to, housing projects and like cheap buildings and stuff like that. And I mean, I know that's not the case, and I'm sure people that know it's not the case, but the media certainly puts like a not positive spin on modular at the moment. Why do you think that is?
Well, I'll try to answer it the best I can, or simplest that I can. So in the 10 years that I'm involved in the modular industry, from a design perspective, from a sales perspective, from doing turnkey, I've worked I like to think in all the main aspects of modular. And one thing I learned is that Modular right now, as it sits, it's two things: the methods and technologies on how things are getting done in modular have advanced a great deal compared to the previous way that they were being done, and I can get into that later. And then also another thing is that I found is that people that I would say that were going up promoting this previously were kind of over promising, under delivering what it actually is. So what I've always said to my clients and to everybody is that they talk to a previous sales rep from another company, will say, and they say, well, we can save you 40% of your costs and 60% of your build time. And then I walk in and I say, well, no, it's actually about 10 to 15% of your costs and about 20% of your build time. And it can't do everything. So why I say it can't do everything is because certain people try to build this big fancy mansion with winding staircases in the modular method, and they run into issues simply because the layout of the home isn't quite ideal for modular 100% or ideal at all. So the way that modular is done is that if you didn't design the structure in mind with the intention of going modular with it, you're going to run into issues. And naturally, a brand new construction method that people are viewing as can potentially make traditional build obsolete, they're going to be a little more critical towards that because there's a multi-billion-dollar industry built behind all of that stuff. And for me, and it's not, that's the furthest from the truth. It's not. It's what it is literally an alternative building method to what we're trying to do. So I've made things out of containers. I've made things out of basic stick-built modular. I've made things out of base metal frame. I've worked on several different aspects, but the projects that I've done in terms of it all had like when I take on a project when somebody says here's a row of townhouses I want to build out of modular, but it's not going to be done. It can be done in modular, but the pricing is not going to be exactly what we want it to be because the design isn't exactly ideal for modular. So I don't know in terms of why the media is kind of panning it and saying that it doesn't have a good reputation. It's because they're focusing on one job out of 40 that went successfully, and that's just my opinion. I don't want anybody to jump on me.
So just to sort of Adnan, just to sort of start the beginning, because I know that there's going to be lots of different people listening to this. What's the definition of a modular home?
Well, it's not just homes. I say structure because it can be made for several different things. Yeah, because I'm doing 2 40-foot containers right now that are going to be turned into a row of bathrooms, and another 2 20-foot containers are going to be done as an addition. So the definition of modular structure basically is that a structure that's been done off-site, meaning it's done indoors in a temperature-controlled environment. It is, and each module before it even leaves the plant has to have a CSA or Intertech certification, which is a specific code within the Intertech broad spectrum. They do a lot of things /CSA. They have a specific code for modulars that all of them have to abide by, the wall envelope and the flooring envelope and all that. So that gets done offsite, and then it gets sent on basically gets put on a truck essentially, and it gets taken to site where a crane meets it on the other side, and it sets it into place. So it's modular offsite construction methods basically is the best way to between modular and traditional. But if it's a permanent structure and it's done modular, 90% chance you won't even know once it's finished. It's just an alternative method to build something. That's the best, easiest way to
I think shipping containers get confused with modular, right? Everyone thinks of it, it's always going to be shipping containers, and that's the misconception. And like Viceroy Homes, right? Like they used to build some sweet homes that have an amazing reputation, and I think revolutionized the prefab industry in Canada, 50 years ago or whatever it was. Correct me if I'm wrong. And they have a great name today. And when people I have a Viceroy home, and like it's very well represented, right? So I think there's lots of different solutions, and I guess that's what we want to get to the bottom today, because there's obviously a housing crisis. Apparently, that's what people are saying. And
Yeah.
we want to know, like, how possible is it? We've got all these City of Toronto planning initiatives, like multiplex studies, garden suites, laneway housing. Like, what is the solution? How is it going to be solved? And how do modular homes fit into that picture, right?
Well, I can't speak on the housing crisis itself because I really don't know exactly how the housing crisis itself can be solved. But what I do know is
All
that
right, we got to
I
just
can,
call we got to call
yeah.
the show. All right, I thought that's what we
No,
were here
I
for.
sorry,
We heard you had the answers, Adnan. All right, so
yeah, no, I do. But what I'm saying is what I
Don't
can
worry.
speak upon is
What the hell?
no, what I can do is talk about is how modular can help solve that problem. So basically, one of the things is how it can be done is my company has set designs for laneway suites. It's a set price. It's done in a specific way, and it's the way to do it essentially is to find a alternative construction method to fill in the void for that housing crisis. So you have a person that's making $60,000-$70,000 a year, we'll say, and he can't really afford to buy or rent anything in the city anymore. Well, not at least one bedroom or two bedroom in certain areas. So what it is with this laneway housing, it's an alternative that it's a small 16 by 20, we'll say, laneway structure that's finished really nicely. And it is going to be minimal. So it's going to be really like fold out tables and fold out couches and things like that within that structure. And that's going to be something that can be offered as a starter unit. So basically a starter unit before you jump up to the one bedroom, I think is the best way to do it. So we should offer what I'm trying to do is what my company does. We're trying to offer to the general public. If you can't get a one bedroom condo right now because of the housing crisis, or you can't rent one, or you can't, whatever the case may be, and it's not just Toronto, it's happening mostly in Southern Ontario now, then, okay, well, there's this option, which is, so we need to create basically need to create a new introductory new home model to the public. So if we have a first time home buyer that can only get a mortgage for 200,000, let's say, you can't get anything for 200,000, not even in London, not even in Windsor anymore. So this can be the void where they can have that 200,000 as a start. And then from there, they go from that to a condo or whatever have you.
explain that. So walk
What
me through. So
land is
who
this
owns the
on?
land?
Yeah.
So would this be a family member's property? Is that what you're saying?
It could be on a family member's property. So let's just say a person has a shed in the back and they want to kind of section off their piece of land, and they can replace the shed with a 8 by 20 or 16 by 20 structure.
That would be a garden suite or laneway.
Kind of like a garden suite, correct? That could be their
Okay.
introductory model where they actually are building equity in that, or they can get into a land leasing deal with a homeowner, which I think that I'm seeing that.
You're
where
seeing
people are
that?
actually, yeah, I'm seeing where people are actually going to a homeowner.
Okay.
I just one in London actually. I just did last week where somebody's looking saying, okay, I want to lease a section of your land. So they section off a 16 by 20 area. As long as they have the parking capacity, they drop a modular unit on there, and they're building equity in the modular unit itself, but they don't own the land. So they're actually building the unit, dropping it on there. They're paying their land rent to the owner of the property, and they have something there where they're building equity in, and then they later on sell. That's one thing.
Hold on, you're saying that
yeah.
that you're assuming that the modular structure appreciates without the land component as part of it?
They could
your
potentially.
Rights to the lease. You could sell the rights to the lease later on and say, look, I got a land lease on this property.
The lease might be worth something, but doesn't the house depreciate over time?
Sure. Yeah. But the lease rights, you could say today the cost of entry is 200 grand. But in 15 years, yeah, maybe you got to fix up my modular home now, but I still have the rights to this 99-year lease or whatever it is. And you can take over it and move in. Just give me 300 grand. I mean, there's
So what if they sell the property?
That would work.
Does the lease?
Then you move. Well,
what happens with the lease?
If you got a 99-year lease, it's still effective too, right?
Well, that's one issue. Or you can actually just dismantle it and move it somewhere else, and have that.
Too.
So either way, you'll have a place to live.
Yeah.
So that's another option with it. So in terms of land appreciation or depreciation, or the unit appreciating or depreciating, it all depends on the situation. But if you have somebody that needs a place to live and is very limited in options, they can build one of these, put it on a property, lease a piece of land off the person, and if they sell the property, they can move it somewhere else. And then maybe at that point, they can do some sort of a thing where they can buy the land. Or same thing with laneway suites. If somebody has a garage in Toronto, downtown Toronto, in the back, they can make a deal with the person potentially, or the property owner could just build it himself. But potentially, they can go to a property owner and say, "Hey, I want to build 2 of these. I have a 16 by 20, 2 shipping container, little apartment here. I want to put it on top of your thing and make a laneway suite. You know, how much do you want every month?" And again, this is one specific scenario. Another scenario is the homeowner just makes something on top of his garage in Toronto and leases that unit out for X amount, and then the property owner makes more money. At the same time, he's offering instead of a $1,800 a month 1 bedroom, he can offer making a number up, $1,100 a month 1 bedroom in the laneway suite. So that's 2 avenues that I'm finding that is getting some traction, where somebody's saying, "Look, I got my daughter here." This is the situation somebody has their daughter, they can't afford to buy anything, so they're going to build a unit in the back and lease the section of the property to his daughter, and she's building equity into that structure. So
That's what I'm seeing the most too. Family members, living in the backyard. Yeah.
And they're building something really nice for them that they're building equity in. How much equity that is, an assessment property, that all depends. Sometimes people have lost, like I'm not going to sugarcoat, some people have lost values in certain ways of trying to do this, but that was for a sales office for a home builder. That's the only time I've ever seen anybody actually see depreciation in one of these units, because he was done selling all of his lots and he just sold it for 30 cents on the dollar just to get rid of the thing. But whether it's legit depreciation, I don't know. I'm not a real estate broker or anything to make that call, but I'm just going off of what, from a technical perspective, in my background.
Definitely possible. It's definitely, if you don't do it right, then you could be spending more money than you're gaining back in equity. But definitely for the right buyer, a solid laneway house or garden suite or whatever it is that you're able to put together is going to add value for sure.
So,
right.
So I think I need to make a distinction or get an understanding, because from what I know about modular construction, I think there is a big difference between modular and off-site construction. Off-site construction sounds more like what you're talking about, where you'll build what somebody wants off-site and kind of cart it onto the site with a crane, right? Modular, I think, is more like, there's like set sizes and shapes of something, and the factory pumps out the same thing over and over again for a specific project.
Sounds like the same thing. One's just
but one sounds more custom, right? Like one is custom and one is like you don't have customization, because these are the boxes that we produce, and like go make a design. I know that they're very close, but aren't they different animals? Like one sound to me, what you're doing sounds like you're kind of approaching things as like a less expensive solution to build a house, whereas the modular is probably a solution to get more housing out quickly.
So the modular and offsite construction are the same thing. Modular means pertains to the actual specific modules, which is a section of the building that you're doing. Is a building that you're doing, and offsite construction is the methodology of doing it. So there is no real distinction or difference between the two. They're the same thing. Modular units is pertaining to the specific unit, and modular offsite construction is the method to do it. So custom or pumping up the same thing, it's the same methodology of doing it in the plant, essentially.
This is nothing new. 100 years ago, all the Victorian style homes were shipped in these packages of houses from England, and they would say, put this together this way and you will have a house that's why all the houses look the same, exact same. Those are mass produced.
The Dutch invented this, as far as I know. They've been doing it for the longest time, because Holland is damp, it's below sea level. They had to come up with ways to be able to build foundations on solid ground and ship it out to where they're trying to get it to. And then they said, well, why don't we just build the rest of this house this way? So you can find 60, 70, 80-year-old modular townhouses and row housing in Amsterdam today. So it's not anything new. However, the new methodologies have come a long way with how things have been done back then compared to now. So
IKEA should get into housing. If IKEA was making houses, the housing crisis would be solved. It would just be
well,
put it together.
That would be modular.
Yeah.
See, that would be modular, because that would be like
Yeah.
you have only 4 choices and put it together any way you want, but you have 4 choices and it's pre-made. I don't know.
Weekend with your Uncle Bill. He'll just put together the house. Just
Yeah.
don't screw it. There might be some missing pieces.
So what is your ultimate vision for what modular could be? Yeah, like I feel like some of the companies are doing things, because they need to make money rather than what their actual vision of their modular business was. Like, for example, when I picture modular, like I picture like a factory, like robot arms making the same thing over and over and over again, pumping them out like a Tesla gigafactory. And it's like, okay, fine. Like they're very similar to each other, but you can pump out a ton of them. And maybe the cost of construction isn't less, but the time is less. The interest on payments is less. Like there's savings, and the timing is just like so much faster to pump these things out and put them together. But like, I'm not in modular. So like, what is your ultimate vision for what modular construction should be based on all the technology that's already even out there now?
Yeah. Well, Darryl, first off, you're very, very accurate with what you just said. You're absolutely right. Some have the robotic arms and are punching everything out and doing. You're absolutely right. That essentially is what it is. It is a manufacturing-based type of building. It's not a construction-based type of building. So you're absolutely correct there. And my ultimate vision is it's twofold. I'm trying to create, and I have been for the last 10 years, a new technology pertaining on making these things cheaper, put together easier, and being able to ship all over the world. I'm actually working with a non-for-profit company right now that actually specializes. We're trying to do pop-up communities for disaster relief. So that's one thing we're working on. And the other thing we're working on is I'm doing everything from new public housing. I'm also doing it for, so for me personally, what my ultimate vision is to be one of the people to offer alternatives for somebody who's looking for a place to live. Because I myself have been in a situation where I was living in downtown Toronto, and it's rough sometimes because of how massive the expenses can get if you're living there. So for me, I'm looking at it in a way where somebody needs a place to live, they want to start their life, and they have a option that where, well, maybe I can buy 2 of these things, put it on a piece of land or somebody's property, and I can at least have a home, and I can build some sort of equity into something to start me off, and then I can move up into the housing market for Canada. Outside of Canada and North America, my vision is there's a village or a town that needs new housing and new infrastructure because it just got wiped out by a tsunami. Then that's when the organization I'm specifically working with ITTS foundations. They're out of Georgia, but they traveled all over the world. They would go in and say, well, we need 500 of these things, and X country, send them over. So that's my alternate thing, because I also, previous to modular, I was in renewable energy for a long time. Well, for about 5-6 years. So now my vision is to have my grand project is to literally travel the world, reconstruct things that need to be reconstructed, have a temporary or permanent home solution to people who need it, self-sustained housing, solar powered, and solar thermal and solar PV for these. And we're basically building brand new communities that got wiped out or people have been displaced due to war or whatever the case may be. So that, me personally, for my company, that's my grand vision, is doing that, is
Awesome.
giving somebody a means to be able to start somewhere and at least they can say, well, I don't have $500,000 to buy a condo right now, but I have $200,000. Maybe I can build one of these and build some sort of equity, so that way they have some sort of collateral. So when they do save up their money, they say, hey, I have this and I have this much in the bank. Can I get a mortgage or a loan for this $500,000 condo? Well, great. Yeah, you can. So in a nutshell, that's my grand vision of this. And that's what I've been trying to do.
Love the
I hope that
renewable
answers.
energy part too,
Mhm.
because
Oh,
there's
thanks.
so many. Yeah, that's a great background to have for modular
Yeah.
homes. Like, what a solution to solve if you could actually be able to create more sustainable housing in areas that
Yeah.
have a hard time with sustainable housing because of different,
Yeah.
issues, energy and waste and all that kind of
Politics,
stuff.
waste, this, that,
Yeah.
the other. I've traveled to several countries, and that's what really made me say, this is what I really want to do. And then when home here in Canada, you saw the housing crisis go haywire. And then I sat there because prior to the housing crisis and to doing what I'm doing in modular, I was just doing sales offices for home builders. I was doing camps for out Western Alberta. I was doing through a larger company. I was working full time for them. I was doing that prior to this, so I kind of came across this and branched off and started Acad Modular almost 3 years ago because of all this stuff popping up. My vision of going around the world doing this, and of course doing this here domestically from the private real estate market. And it's been successful, hopefully, so far. We're launching a 10-unit geared to income housing in London, Ontario, with a holdings company in London, Ontario called Farmore. Great sort of visionary people. We're
Explain
doing
what that is. Sorry, gear to unit. What's
So geared to income. So basically, what we're doing is we're
geared to
building a
income.
a 10-unit apartment building, rental units, where the government puts in a certain amount of money towards the rent, and then the client puts up a certain amount of money towards the rent to pay the total rent. So government guarantees 30 or 50% of the overall rent of the units, and then we pre-qualify people where they have lower income, but they have income nonetheless, to where they can put up the other $500 or $600 a month for that one unit. So we're starting off with about 10 units on a smaller property. So we're doing like a micro modular development, we're calling it. And there's other properties that we're trying to do, but I'm working with Farmore Holdings on that, and we're hopefully going to have it shoveled to the ground at some point this year. So it's a lot of preliminary stuff, but that's what we're doing.
What size is the property that holds those 10 units?
You'd be surprised. The property is about 60 feet wide by about 200 feet deep. And
10
we
units?
configured it in a way where
Quarter
you can
acre.
put 10 units in there. Yeah. Each unit's small, smaller.
How small?
So we, 8 feet wide by about 40 feet, deep. But we also have a second kind of a loft kind of a thing up above. It's going to be another unit on top of that. So 8 by 40 main, and then 8 by 20 on the upper floor, each unit.
That's
We got
shipping
10 of them on
container?
there.
8 by
Shipping
40?
containers, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. 8 by 40, then a 20 foot on
Explain the
top.
process to us. Right.
Where's the savings with using a shipping container?
Well, before all the COVID stuff went haywire, there was savings with using a shipping container, but the cost of shipping containers went up. But the savings is time. Also, the savings is you already have the structure ready. So you just do your notches and your cuts, and then you start putting in your studs and everything else that needs to be done. So the savings is time, ease of fabrication, and as well as you can save with the shipping containers, so long as you get a decent price on them.
Don't you have to still frame the inside and then clad the outside? Like what?
Correct.
And reinforce them to hold some weight, or these are only one story? Like, don't they have to be able to hold a snow load or something?
Yes, and that's what my company does, is we do all the design and engineering behind it for the specific purpose, as well as our shop is the fabricators, and that's where CSA comes in. That's where the CSA standards come in, where they make sure that they're actually pretty stringent, just like the building codes. And we still have to abide to the building code, obviously. So they have to hold a certain snow load, and you do have to reinforce them. Yes. But sometimes you do, sometimes where the base frame of the container is sufficient if it's a single story. You just put a roof on it and you clad in, put the studs on the inside.
What is the container doing? If you're putting the studs, you're still putting the cladding. What's the container doing?
The container is acting as the actual structure, and the studs and the cladding is all insulation.
Oh, it's adding as the structure. Got it. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. I always wondered about that. What the hell was going on there? Why you have
Oh
to
yeah,
use
no
the
problem.
container? That's great.
So no,
Okay.
the container basically is the core structure. That's what's taking the weight. That's what's distributing the load.
It's distributing the load. Okay. And what do you put do you put it on like a slab, or are you building actual basements if it's in Canada?
Out of this method. So
if you use a container, do you have to put like a full, I guess you need a foundation. Yeah. You got to go 4 feet.
Yeah. Well, depending on what you're doing. If it's a temporary thing where it's only going to be there for a year or two, you can do a precast block with gravel. So, and then you do something called duckbills. So what you do is you strap it, and then that goes 4 foot deep, and that prevents uplift. And if it's a temporary structure, if it's permanent, then you go 4 feet deep with a slab or basement. So yeah, you still would need to do that.
Great. So this project in London, you're gonna obviously create the foundation, whether it's going to be the slab or the other way that you're talking about. Drop off all the shipping containers, and then the guys are gonna stack those in order, and then construction starts. Start framing up the insides, doing what you need to do on the outsides. And
no, that's all done before it gets to the site.
That's all done beforehand. So the procedure with this is, okay, so we get our building permit. We're done all the site plan approvals and all that. We get our building permit. We say, okay, we're ready to build, get our building permit. Guys go out the site and start doing the foundation and start preparing the site. At that time, same time, the units are being constructed indoors somewhere.
Okay, that's time savings.
Do you have like a warehouse already?
Correct, yes.
Just forget about the fact that it starts at the same time. Just not having weather be a factor.
That's also
saves a ton of time. A ton of time.
Yeah.
Huge. And
controlled
and
environment.
They've done, and the people I've worked with, they've done traditional, and they're like, man, this thing is incredible. It's the middle of January, but I'm inside and I'm working on units.
I used to build custom homes, and in the winter, it was the fucking worst thing ever. I don't even understand why a framer would work outside when he could go work in a factory and do the same bloody thing. It's crazy.
You're right on the nose, Darryl.
It's crazy. I don't get it. It's like, can you imagine if you bought a car and they shipped you all the parts and you made it in your driveway?
Yeah.
Like this is the equivalent. This is how we build houses. We ship all the parts and guys slug it out. And they don't even know what they're doing, half of them. I'm not even joking, because they're just like, they're led by one guy knows what they're doing in a crew of 4, and they're building the houses for everybody. And then a guy comes in to inspect it to make sure it's good. And he goes, I'm not even kidding. This is a true story. Guy one day comes, he goes, hey, this is at the front door. Hey, I'm here. Okay. All right. Have a good day. Thanks a lot. You passed.
Yeah.
I'm like,
yeah. So that's also touching on a big other thing, but sorry, I'll let you finish what you're saying, Darryl. Sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, go ahead. You go ahead.
You're our guest today, Adnan. We want to hear from you.
Oh, so that's where the CSA comes in, actually, even exactly what Darryl's saying, it prevents that. Because the way it is that I'm going to walk you through basically just what it's like going into the shop. So you walk in and you literally see, let's just say there's 4 units, okay, being built to make up one house, like one bungalow. Let's just keep it very simple. 4 sections, you got 4 units being there. We'll make them containers this time. They can be done with base steel, but we'll say they're containers. So let's say we've got 4 containers making up one bungalow being built. So at every single container, there's something called floaters, which is a checklist. That's a CSA appointed checklist where
what's it called? Flow what?
A floater. So what a floater means is something that's attached to the unit, and it's a checklist with daily time-stamped and date-stamped pictures of everything that was done, along with a checklist, who worked on it, what was done, and all of this gets put together when the unit is finished into a binder. Now, when that binder is done, it has to be organized in a way, and all the checklists get certified by my company, gets certified by us, because, my partner in this, Dr. Lou Durazio, he is a huge Six Sigma, ISO 9000, the whole deal. So manufacturing he has it down to a science. So he's the person that certifies the units. And if he's going to flip through one page, and if he sees that a wall stud isn't done correctly 2 months ago, we'll say 2 weeks ago, he's going to look at that. He's like, I'm not certifying this unit until you fix this piece in the wall. So, because CSA won't pass it, because CSA is going to come in every single quarter and they're going to look through all of our books and say, okay, this looks good, this looks good, this looks good. Here's your other round of tickets. So they only give you a certain amount of tickets ahead of time. And then they come in and make sure that everything is being done properly from the manufacturing perspective. So you have 2 levels of inspections before that thing even leaves the plant. So you're going to have one done, certified by us. It gets CSA certified. It gets sent out the door. And then later on, even though it's installed and on the field, the CSA comes in and says, why is number ACAD 12-4, let's say I'm making a number up, isn't that stud wasn't done exactly correctly. So there's checks and balances even on us on top. So you got the floor guys doing the work. We're doing the checks and balances on top of that. Plus the CSA every quarter comes in and does checks and balances on us. So there's 2 levels. And then when it goes to site, the inspectors come and look at the stitch line and make sure it's done correctly too. So the inspectors are still doing their inspections, but they have more thorough information and they can look at everything and see, well, this thing is done really nicely, really good. The mate line is done properly. It's level. It's set. The connections are done properly. They're going to look at all that, but they don't have to ask you to open up a piece of the wall because they have this big, thick binder in CSA certification showing that everything is done properly.
Oh, I see.
It removes the human
that's
error.
why. No,
Yeah.
it removes the need for the inspector to come during the process while they're
Correct,
building it off
exactly.
site.
But
Yeah,
think about this too. Think about all the times that trades are miscommunicating, that there's a new type of, like a new model that's being built that's a little bit different. There's so many inconsistencies. This one just sets up like systems and processes that are going to be repetitive, but in a controlled environment, right? So each and every time you're doing the same thing. We had a metal company growing up. I grew up in a metal fabrication household, and the systems in place are all very, we had a 100,000 square foot building with 100 employees, and each person had a job, and you're doing the same thing all day, every day. And so it was like, if you have your job to check that part of the process, you're going to have it down really pat, and it actually will lead to less defects in construction, right? Because of that. This seems like the way to build houses. And Daryl's right. Like the automobiles. I can't believe I said that.
This is a step in the right direction, though, because I think that this is ultimately also, I mean, it may be more efficient, but it is nowhere close to as efficient as possible, even today, right? Like, I mean, imagine how many if you look at a typical condominium building right now, I mean, there's no need for most of the model suite sizes unless they're like really just trying to, like, I don't know, like you have to follow the shape of the site, but there must be so many configurations and AI could figure out with modular construction to really maximize a site in so many different ways. I mean, if you look downtown, everything's just a big 90 by 90 meters square with like different balconies now on it, dressing it up. And it's like the perfect thing for modular. I mean,
it is.
I don't even think with modular, you'd have to break up each actual unit, but like you could just make like sections that just keep going up. It would be so efficient and take out all of the humans that have to be part of it, and just like a Tesla gigafactory. That's how housing has to start being made soon.
Well,
China, they have
maybe
that, right?
Maybe I can show you something, because what you're saying actually I can make an.
You want to share your screen?
I'm actually doing a hotel. I'll share the screen. So we're actually building a hotel in the exact way that Darryl is saying right now. We're building a hotel. I can't say the name because of, I have a confidentiality agreement, but I can say that we're doing a hotel, and I can show you a simple configure where each box, we're doing a 12 by 30 box. That's one hotel room. Yeah. One after the other. That's exactly how we're doing it. Exactly.
Hotels are perfect for it, especially like the less expensive, like typical, they just make a rectangle wherever they buy a piece of land, throw up a bunch of these modular units, and like you're done. There should be a factory that has like units ready made, like sitting there waiting for people. Imagine
How many
you lived,
stars?
hold on, listen, imagine you lived in a condo downtown, okay? You lived in like your 450 square foot unit and you didn't love the area anymore, but you liked the area around the corner, also built modular, and you could like take out your unit from one building and put it in the other building and just move around the corner, but still have your unit.
Yeah.
There you go.
let me share the
Like
screen with you guys.
how cool.
Adnan's a structural engineer. He'll tell you if
Oh, that could work.
possible
You
or
could
not.
do it. I'll make that work.
Yeah.
Come with me, TK.
So,
we're gonna do it together.
so let me try to share the screen here without
your flying car. You would just hook up your flying car with the with the winch or the tow thing on the back of the car, and you'd pull out your unit and you'd fly it over to the next place
that you want to go to.
Yeah, that's so. Let me try to share my screen.
Happening now.
He's not buying it, Darryl. He's not buying it.
Oh no, I'm buying it. You can definitely do it.
He's buying it.
Sorry.
Me and Adnan are secretly working on this project.
You're working on it now.
This is our
Build
release
the robots.
party.
Yeah, Darryl, we're me and Darryl are onto something here.
Right.
Can you see this by any chance?
Not yet.
No.
I did give you the
Not
capability
yet.
of sharing your screen, I believe. Yeah.
Share.
There you go.
Here we go. Can you see us now? Okay.
We are.
So I just kind of zoom in here. So here's the existing 2-story hotel that's going to be leveled and become the part of the parking lot. This is the existing parking lot. This is going to be a 3-story motel. Now, if you could see here, you can see how they're kind of broken up to this point here. Actually, sorry, we're just doing the rooms on this one. So you see how every room is exactly 12 by 30, 12 foot 4, 12.
What's the materials you're using?
So hold on, are you putting together the washrooms, the finishes, like everything off-site? Cool.
Yep.
So do tiles sometimes crack when you like move the unit from one place to another?
They can, and if there's flexing, but the way we're doing this one is we're actually doing it with a base that I custom designed, a base steel frame. So there's a base steel frame made out of a combination of 4x4 and 4x8 tube steel. And that's getting made together to the point where any of those stress or crack points is being directly supported by the base frame. And then we're filling it in with I-span for the ceiling and the roof. And we're actually doing metal studs for the side. So we don't have any, no wood on this one.
Materials.
So what does that mean? All 4 corners and the floor and the ceiling are all reinforced by tube steel?
And more actually. So like we're actually like, you know, right in here, which is the riser for your plumbing and your HVAC. So here, that back part here, another one going across this way, another one going across. So all the
is that how you connect them?
You connect them at those points, correct? You get stacked and connected in a way so that you stack and you connect them. So this is the second level. You can see the similarities, right? That goes on top and that goes on top.
Mass produced,
these are all the point loads that I have are all being transferred right down to the foundation.
So now all of the work is being done in a warehouse that you've rented somewhere near there?
No, not near there. Well, they're being combined actually because of the amount. We're doing them in several plants. So we have one in London that we're doing it, and we actually are going to be outsourcing a certain amount because the timelines are so tight. So ideally, we're going to be doing it in one plant, but the timeline is tight, so we're actually breaking this up and we're splitting it amongst 4 or 5 different plants where they're all going to be working on them concurrently, so they're all done for May, and then they all get stacked on site. By the way, I would love to invite you guys while these things are being built to definitely follow you guys along if you're interested.
Yeah,
I would love to have you guys out there and you can see it. And I would love for you guys to come out to the site while they're being installed this year. You're absolutely invited for sure.
So you go to a metal fabrication company with your designs?
Well, so the metal fabrication company actually sends their stuff to the plant. But yes, so so what we would do is we would send out these drawings once they're 100% completed and done, which right now I just showed you the conceptual layouts, but we're working on the full drawing. We send it out to all the plants, And then those plants send it out to the metal fabricators. Some of them have their fabricator right in house where they actually have a framer, but mainly the metal fabricators, they do it, and then they send, once the frames are done, they send it off to the plant, and then they start putting the studs in the roof and the plumbing and the electrical and everything on it. So
These are
it's
specialized
done.
Are you
plants.
hiring like subcontractors? Are you hiring specific plumbers, specific electrician like companies and subcontracting, or do you have all in-house people that are doing all this stuff?
So depending now, some of the plants have subcontractors that they bring in because you need a master electrician to do something, and they're starting up, so they don't have the volume. And the other two that I'm working with have full-time guys. They just have them on payroll. They're master electricians. They're working and only doing this. So either or. So I have people that I've actually worked with where they're interested in building some units, and they started off kind of doing the process where they hired out the subcontractors. They got the building certified, and they're starting out building units themselves if they don't have the volume. But ideally, with the bigger people, they have full-time guys in-house. But
Awesome.
my method with this is a little bit different, where I'm looking at we do the design, we do the engineering, we do the CSA integration of all the units, we certify the units.
And the oversight.
Yeah, and the oversight of everything. And then the plants, however they do it, either with subs or full-time guys.
Oh, so you're hiring out the plants that already exist to create the product for your client.
Currently,
Okay,
yes.
got it.
Just
okay.
because we're about 8 people in here. We're not a massive company. We're a smaller company. And I would like to one day have a huge factory that's an Acad factory and pumping out stuff, but we're not big enough yet, but we're on our way. But we sub the things out. We have our vendors that do it, but that do all of our work, that currently build stuff, that build the modular stuff. So
now you said when you were showing us the plans before that you were doing the rooms only. So does that mean that you're contracted out by another contractor who's doing like everything else?
No, we're actually hired by the hotel company directly.
But there's somebody else that's building the foundation and everything other than the rooms?
Correct.
So that's a coordination effort.
The more complicated stuff, right? The more unique, detailed.
We propose to do the entire thing in modular. However, timing wise and the way that the lobby is done, and this is kind of going to bounce onto this is a good segue into my next thing. Currently modular, the way it is right now, for it to work efficiently and give you the time savings and the cost savings that you're looking for, you have to have specific applications to where it works for it. So in this case, this was designed prior to myself taking it on, and the lobby and the way that it is to do it in modular, it would essentially the cost would go right up. It's not quite, you're not going to get quite the look that you're looking for without it costing a lot of money. Whereas it's easier to take 20% of the project, build it fully on site, and then build the other 80% in the factory and send them over to the site. So right now, and I'm not the only person doing this, there's the Marriott in downtown Manhattan right now is doing a hotel where 30% of it's done modular. And those modular units, those rooms are actually coming all the way from Poland, and they're taking it all the way over to New York, and they're stacking them on site. So it's on YouTube, actually. I'll send you the link, actually. It's the tallest modular hotel in the world that's being built.
It seems to me that the only thing wrong with the whole modular idea is the perception. Because it's like 100%. EVs, it's like the electric vehicles. It's like, why the fuck weren't those a thing so much like earlier? And I mean, some people know the story is that, I mean, the car companies and the oil companies suppress the technology. That makes sense. But who 100%. The fuck is suppressing this? Like, why isn't this adopted? It makes so, like, the configurations you could do in a modular building are limitless. I don't think, like, with robotics and AI and machinery that exists today, you could pump out building after building that look beautiful and are better built and safer. And I think can I tell you, I think I said it before. I think that the sales pitch from the modular companies is focusing on the wrong way of savings. And I think people are promising savings on construction, and it's an outright lie. The real savings is the time. Because when you pump something up 6 months sooner and you pay 6 months less interest on everything, and you get people in 6 months earlier and everything closes, that is worth a ton of money. Not only
you are
that,
100% right.
the ease of it, it's like mind boggling, but people don't know. And people think it's like for women's shelter housing and like, but it is, because people are trying to pitch it as a cheap product, right? So when you pitch it as a cheap product, it gets adopted as a cheap product. And who the hell wants a cheap product other than people that can't afford a good product, right? Not to say that it's not good. It's better than any other product. There's no doubt about it. Right.
You know what? You're absolutely right. And it has been perceived the wrong way. Well,
it's the perception.
My first year in this business, I sold one modular unit. That's it. The entire year, one. And that's talking to builders and developers and everything under the sun. They all had a negative connotation about it, except one home builder said, you know what? Let me do it. He built it.
How old was he?
My first sale. The home builder? He was in his early 40s. It was, I guess I can say, Falcon Crest Homes. A great company.
Who? Falcon Crest?
Yeah, they were the ones who. There was my first sale, my first model.
DeLuca,
there you go. Yeah, Paul DeLuca and James. Yeah,
Paul and James. Really I know them. Cool.
So they were the ones who got it. They said, you know what? I'll take a risk on this. I'll do it. So he did it. He got it built. He basically, the way they did it, he sold the one development. Hold
on. What did he build? Did he build?
He just custom homes. He still wasn't doing all of it in modular. He just the sales office was. That's all.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So, and I remember during the time, if you go on my website, actually, you could see still on my website.
Is that his? Okay.
Yeah, that's his on my website. You could see the one with the top tier, the two thing, and that's DeLuca's. That's his. Well, was. Then he ended up selling it to another home builder after he finished everything. We took it apart, and now it's in Alliston. They took it apart, shipped it on trucks, took it out, now it's in Alliston.
Cool.
So that was kind of neat. And like I said, he didn't sell it for a profit, but he ended up selling it, dismantling it, and took it to an.
Usually it's garbage.
No. Yeah, usually it's garbage. That was a great deal for him.
Yeah. So how we made it why it wasn't garbage is because we did a custom concrete Q-deck flooring design, because that's the number one spot that it gets rotted out is in the floor. And what we did is we did it in a way where it is a male-female fitting, so it's a self-leveling. So even if you take it apart, there's a fitting where it's kind of like, kind of putting it crudely, but it's like it's fitting like this, the other one, and it kind of slips in and it locks in, and then it gets bolted in the floor from the top, and then you cover that. So, and the rest of it was wood framed mixed with steel frame modular. So, and it was beautiful. It was high end. It had a chandelier in it, the whole deal. It literally looked like it wasn't modular once it was done. And that was my first one that I ever did. And that was in 2013, early 2013. But for about a year, nobody was, oh yeah, this is cool, this is nice, well, I'll let you know, whatever. So that was kind of made me that kind of launched me in this business. Then I did other ones. We did one where we did it all out of steel, like what we're doing at the hotel there, and with a concrete Q deck, and we shipped it across country to Jasper, Alberta, for a sales office in Jasper, Alberta. Had a working demo unit, it had a working demo kitchen, the whole deal in there. They sold out within a weekend, every single unit in Jasper. So that was another really, really good one. So those were the first two big ones that I did that I was doing back in the day. So, but nobody was really looking at it for houses or anything else during that time because of what Darryl was saying, the perception of it. But
perception, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
So, but do you feel like it's do you feel like it's starting to get adopted more now?
Absolutely, like more than I've ever imagined. Let's just put it that way.
I think the laneway suites has helped that perception in Toronto. That's been a big area. That's exactly where it's coming. And now the garden suites, which we didn't have a lot of time to talk about today, because I know you've got a planning background as well too. You know, you were on planning council, I believe, and
the Toronto Planning Review Panel. I was a panelist. I was selected, and I was very honored. I served two 2-year terms. We met about 10 times a year, 10 to 12 times a year.
Yeah.
And I did it under first Jennifer Key's mat. The second one was under Greg Lantern. So
Does that mean that
I was
you're,
very honored.
are you an engineer or an architect?
So my background is mechanical engineering design originally, and then my specialty is renewable energy and modular structures. I don't have a planning background. However, I was selected because they were exploring the laneway suite options. They were exploring other options, and they needed myself as a member of 28 others for their input on certain things. So I didn't really have any say over, yes, this is a good project or not. It's what's your opinion on it, and give us some feedback. That was mainly what. So the laneway stuff was the bigger thing that I was really like into during that time. And that's what really gave them the mindset where they had like a showcase downtown and at City Hall at one point, and they were exploring the whole modular option for the laneway suites. Because the issue is, getting back there, if they were doing traditional construction and launching, going crazy with the laneway suites, traditionally, they would clog up and cause so much traffic and congestion in those laneways. So they saw this as a just overall ease, as a great idea, because it's a one-day install. They put it in, there it is. As long as your lower structure is reinforced properly, they put it on top, you hook up your power, and the rest of your services to it, and off they go. So
there's two areas now. There's two areas now. So one is the garden suites that's coming up, but also all these like office pods and things like that, where people are trying to find an extra space on the existing property that they have. Right.
Correct.
So
Yeah.
can people come to you? So if I came to you and I want turnkey laneway suite, obviously garden suite, when the legislation's all passed, office pod, all that, you can handle it. Your company,
correct. Yes.
Right, from the ground up.
So we take it from A to Z. We basically do the entire thing. We design it, we engineer it, we certify it, we get it built for you, we get it delivered and installed for you. So we can do an entire turnkey for a laneway suite, for pods, for any of that Part 9 stuff. We can definitely do.
And total time on site. Give me a range.
Okay, so let's just see. We did a home edition in Etobicoke. This is going back a few years too, like 6 years ago. But it was a while ago. It was a one single room to go on top of a rear part of those older row houses. So the house was only interrupted for 2 weeks. So in only 2 weeks, they had to leave the place. They came back. They had a fully functioning, fully passed home edition, as opposed to 3 months traditionally. And they have a hole in the wall and everything just haywire. So, but the only thing that made people think, well, why isn't everybody else doing it, is because some people, for some reason, this is the hardest thing I'm finding with the general public sometimes who are looking to build new, is number one, they already kind of have a preconceived notion about this isn't the way to go, because they like having the mindset of, I ordered my wood, they see the wood on site, they see it being built. I ordered this and they like to see it come to site and being built. They still have that mindset. Whereas dealing with modular, you're giving a big chunk of money to a factory and you can walk and see it, but you're sitting there for like 2 or 3 months waiting for it to get done. We'll say, I'm again making up, let's just say 2 months. You're waiting for 2 months, and then all of a sudden within a week you have a full house done. But during that 2 months, people are having a hard time wrapping their brains around, well, what do you mean you're building it in there? What are you talking about? How does that work? And that's where I'm finding the not frustrating, but where I'm doing the most of my kind of not a pitch, because I've seen and done so many, but just kind of helping them get through. Well, you're ordering all those things, they are coming into the plant, but the thing is, you're going to a plant where it's done precision, and you can look and you can see it being built in a factory, just like you can see if you order a brand new car. You're not going to be driving it for a month, but you can see it coming down the line in Detroit. Let's just say, for example, you can see it coming down. It's the same kind of thing. So they got to kind of get away. That's the thing, is they still are wrapped
the contractors, though. It's also the contractors. Think about it. The average guy is not Adnan. The average contractor has no idea how to do what you're doing.
Correct.
So he's going to say, this is what my uncle, grandfather showed me, and I'm going to wing it. And it's going to take this much time. And that's just who most people know. The average person doesn't know a mechanical engineer who's working on modular homes. That's just not.
Well, that's a good point. And of course, and I'm not here to try to take the biggest things I don't want to do is I don't want anybody to think that this is going to take away their jobs or take away their trade or anything like that. It's just an alternative way to do things. Instead of doing it on the site, you're going to be doing it inside of
We're
factor.
short. We're short on labor. We're short on skilled trades.
Yes.
This is necessary. If this,
Yeah.
type of
This doesn't
style of
change that.
construction doesn't start to be more widely accepted, then
It-
we're
it-
never
it
going to
does-
catch up.
Yeah, it
Right.
doesn't change that.
Right
Darryl,
now,
but
it's
I
the
think
same
it
amount
makes-
of people, no? The way you're doing it, it's the same amount of people that would be on site. They're just off site. Well, maybe
Exactly.
there's
They can do
Correct.
3 times as
There
many
might be a
houses.
couple less people because it's probably a lot harder to stand around and do nothing when you're in a warehouse with somebody watching you.
100%.
Not
Daryl,
like-
they're building
Yeah.
in the time frame. It's faster. So
It is faster.
one guy can build 3 times as many projects with the same amount of people.
He can inside a factory. Yes, you can. You actually can, because weather's not a factor. Deliveries are somewhat of a factor, but you can buy your stuff in volume more. Instead of buying for just that one house and waiting for the shipment to come in, you're buying for 10 houses and you're storing it inside of one of your rooms in your storage room. I need insulation. We'll just go in the back and grab a bag, put it in. And then, so again, we're taking the housing model, combining it with the production of a car type of a methodology. So I like to try to think of myself as I'm nowhere near this guy, but I like to think of myself as a Henry Ford of the modular industry. I'm trying to basically, my stuff is what I'm doing is that I'm trying to make this the Model T currently. That's why I'm kind of coming up with a new alternative way of doing it with the base frame and different ways of integrating it so that it can be done more precisely and it can be done actually snapped together quickly. So the metal fabricator gives us the base frame. iSpan sends us our studs. This guy sends us this. Everything is already done. Frames come in, guys go in there and they start putting everything up, and we start doing the floaters and the checklists and integrating and doing everything. So currently, right now,
Canadian,
we have
all Canadian made.
Yeah, all Canadian made, which is also a big thing that I want to do. I have been approached by so far 3 different Chinese companies that are interested in doing that. Now, not to say I'm knocking them or anything like that, but me personally, my entire career has been based upon stuff that's modular stuff that's been built in Canada. And I actually want stuff that's Canadian made because I want to export this thing. I don't want to import from China, do here. No, I want to actually build here and ship it out. So that obviously, of course, we want, like, I want to help Canada be one of the main players in modular. Right now, the United States, it's as massive in the States, especially in the South.
Yeah.
But right now, I want Canada to be a bigger player because right now, Canada is home to ATCO, which is one of the biggest ones in the world. And they're based out of Calgary, Alberta. So, but I worked for a company that built exclusively for ATCO. So I've had, at one point, I had about like 15 guys working under me, production guys and all that. And that was the person when I was working full time. So this was before I started Acad, actually. And for me, I've seen every different kind of scenario of modular, I like to think, in terms of how it was being built. But now I'm actually, in a way, is I want to start kind of just tweaking it and making it a little bit better, a little bit easier, a little bit, just like with everything else, right? Like we started off the Model T, now we got Teslas on the road. Same kind of deal. I'm just trying to.
It's pretty crazy though. Like I'm thinking,
Yeah.
I know subdivisions now, they will buy wall panels that are pre-manufactured and they'll buy floor panels, and trusses have been a thing forever.
Oh,
And
ages.
but these are all just like why aren't they just tying the wall panels, the floor panels, and the trusses together in the factory and bringing that to the site, or at least putting the walls and the floor together? And I don't understand. It's like the slowest adoption of all time, and I don't know how does a big developer not make sense of okay, like there's a family room kitchen piece, and there's the living room or office piece, and then there's the garage piece, and there's the first floor of every single house that's ever been built in the last 20 years, right? And then the second floor is the same thing. Here's like 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, 3 bedroom, 4 bedroom, boom, and a roof module, and you're done. Why isn't that happening? I don't get it. Anyways, Adnan,
I'm trying to do it.
He's gonna do it.
Yeah,
He's gonna do it.
That's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, Adnan, we're at the end of the show, and I want to have time for you to kind of give a shameless plug here. Where can people find you?
Well, you can find my number one website, www.acadmodular.com. So acadmodular.com. Also, my phone number, my email is on there. People think, and also our office is in Brampton. my company, as well as our partner company, Archisystem Inc. I want to give them a plug because they're our partner company in here, who still do general architecture and engineering services as well. We were actually voted in the top 3 architecture firms in Brampton this past year for 2020, so I'm kind of proud of that. You can find me there. Yeah, my website and social media at Acad Modular on Instagram and Facebook. You can find me there, and also, yeah, that's the best way to get a hold of me. My house is in Brampton, and you can find me on my website and all that.
And they
stuff.
knock on
So
your front door. Is that going to
they
be
can knock on my
kosher?
wall on COVID, but they can hopefully once we open up again, they can knock on my front door. I will gladly talk to anybody who's interested in this, and we can have all our information for them here. And then once our units are being built, I can actually take them to the plant and see and show them units that are being built currently.
Amazing. Yeah. I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot today.
Yeah.
I hope I did a good job for
I know
you
other
guys.
people have too. It's you're a wealth of knowledge, and you seem to be a pioneer in this space. And I think that's what people want to hear. And that's we talk about this a lot. We've had people kind of brush on these topics in the past, and I think that you're the guy. You're the one who's actually doing it and pushing the envelope. So that's great.
I'm very passionate about it, and this is what I truly feel. This is something I'm very passionate about. It's something I'm literally, putting everything that I have into this to make it work, and I think it will. You're going to see lots of cool stuff. I very much would love to invite you guys once the hotel units are being built to come and check them out and come see them, and then I can give you a better idea.
We'll record a show. We'll record a show from the installation site live. We'll do our first
absolutely
live broadcast.
Welcome to it. Yeah,
that'd be cool.
You can see that. Well, absolutely. That's coming this year, man. So we're literally getting everything ready. I would say by this time next month, you can walk the plant and start seeing stuff.
Beautiful. Well, me, TK, and about 78 other people will be there ready to cheer you on.
We might get a few more views than that. Remind everyone to like, comment, and subscribe. Review us on Apple Podcast. And thanks, guys, for tuning in. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, guys. I appreciate your time, and hopefully we'll stay in touch.